What's up, everyone? Welcome to another episode of the Meran podcast. Today, my guest is Juho Kilkki. Juho is one of the members of the legendary crew Real Skifi. Since the release of their first episode back in 2011, they've become one of the most popular freeski crew and web series of all time with their highly creative and innovative skiing. With his friends, Juho has managed to create his own path as a professional skier, and it was super interesting to talk with him. We talked about so many things from the start of Real Skifi, their creative process, working with big brands like Motorola and Mountain Dew, getting a massive following while staying true to their Finnish roots, and much, much more. This episode is a must listen to, and I'm really thankful to Juho for coming on. Big thanks to this episode's sponsors, Axis Board Shop and Planks Clothing. Also, big thanks to the patrons, Will Cameron and Raf Diaz. Let's go. Mr. Juho Kilkki, welcome to the podcast.
Thanks. Good to be here.
How's it going these days in Finland?
It's good. Life is definitely good right now. We already got some good snow in here. Not like plenty, but decent. And it's been some cold days, and yeah, life's treating me good.
How much shooting have you done this season? Have you started?
Not really. I guess the correct answer is zero.
Zero.
Zero. Yes. We'll start. Well, we actually did some shoots in the fall, like with. I guess that would count, but yeah, not really. We're about to start pretty soon, and
You guys always make me laugh, and I rewatched all your videos yesterday. It was a super good trip down memory lane, but you guys made me laugh at how much like fall or summer skiing you did. Like when I was a teen, I was always excited to start shooting, and we'd do a bit of fall urban, but that didn't last long because it was always so shitty, or there's so much struggle that is not necessary in like finding snow or shoveling it from arenas. And you guys like still to this day keep doing like the most, I don't know, man, summer urban. And some of your recent videos, you do it and there's not even snow. You don't put snow on your in run, no snow in the landing.
yeah. Well, yeah, it's definitely it's one of our specialties. It's it's skiing without snow is the type of activity that you definitely don't do without a camera. At least we haven't really done because I mean I could uh, I, I could go do some hit spots in winter without a camera just for fun, just do some easy stuff. But yeah, the summer stuff is definitely for camera only, and it's yeah. What's interesting is because throughout the years, I think skiing in summer is definitely a thing that we've been known for and we've been like watched for. But also when Anton, one of our filmers, did n- like a little Excel sheet study about our, I think just like social clips. He found something. I think he found that our winter clips get more views than clips, and not that it really. I don't know if it's a study that you can count on, and not that it really matters. But it was just interesting that maybe after all, people don't even want to watch the summer clips. I don't know, but yeah, it's yeah, I don't. It's hard to say why it started, but we've definitely done a lot of it throughout the years. Not too much these recent years, but sometimes it's because the winter season is not too long in the end, like where we're from.
Well, do you have late winters? Because I was wondering about that. Rewatching your video, where there's one back in the days where you say that you've been lacking snow, or you were waiting for snow to arrive. Because in Quebec, we're kind of renowned for winters, but they're pretty shit. Like right now, I went shooting my first spot yesterday, and we were skiing on rocks. Like there's nothing right now, and it starts melting in by the 1st of April. There's no snow on the streets. So like as much as we like street in Quebec, there's
the winters are shit. So basically, my question is, how are Finland winters? Like, does the summer urban come from the lack of snow, or is it just because you guys love doing weird shit?
Uh, it's because Finland is pretty long, like from south to north.
Yeah.
So it's the situation is very different regarding where in Finland you are. Uh, we've done almost all of our shooting throughout the years in Jyväskylä, which is a city in central Finland. Uh, and if the place is called Central Finland, but it's actually pretty low in Finland. But our winters are probably don't know. It sounds. I think it's probably something similar to Quebec. We and there's a lot of variation. I mean, 10 or 20 years ago, the winters were definitely better. Like I think uh, I personally feel that you can definitely see climate change in our winters today, and but yeah, like last season was the best in like 10 years. We actually skied some POW in here, and then I think 2014 we we had snow for maybe 45 days. That's like the shortest ever in here probably, and so it can be very bad or it can be very good. Everything in between.
In Quebec, it's more that we have a lot of colds, but it's unstable. Like, you might get snow, but then it'll rain and take away all the snow, and then it'll get back cold again. So yes, it's cold, but you're stuck with nothing on the ground.
Exactly. Yeah, that's the typical situation here too. That when it rain, when there's something to fall from the sky, it's I don't know the weather terms, but you know that's the time when it's warm and it comes. Too often it comes as rain or something. But yeah, that sounds familiar, definitely. But the summer skiing definitely comes partially from that because like if I mean there's if you count the weekends that you have throughout the year, there's definitely more weekends when it's sun is shining and there's no snow. So like it's a long time to wait for the next season, and you might as well go do some crazy stuff. But you know, I must admit that at least nowadays, I think, for example, skateboarding is a better way to spend time in the summer. I mean, it's just way more convenient.
Man,
So like, summer skiing is not actually the best time ever. It's a good time and it's a good show, but like, it's good to keep it at a certain amount, not too much.
I want to get back to the beginning with you just to have a some kind of history on real skifi,
Yeah,
because there's a lot of skiers that we know their life story kind of, or we know where they come from, we know what they're about. You guys have done with real skifi probably one of the most successful web series of all time in free skiing. Like, I'm looking at your YouTube channel right now, it has over 6.5 million views, and there's probably some videos that were on Vimeo also, right?
yeah,
That would add up to the view count.
yeah. We started on Vimeo. Yeah,
You got a shit ton of views. I think, like, with Traveling Circus, you're probably the most viewed web series of all time in free skiing. And I think something that's special with you guys is, and it's not meant to be an insult, like, it's just something I've noticed, is people don't know who you are, the skiers. They know real skifi.
yeah,
Like, I don't think most people could name you guys. And it's also because you have names that are less conventional, maybe for the English listeners. And
definitely.
it's something like, if you think of Traveling Circus, people know it's Will Wesson, it's Andy Parry, it's LJ.
Yeah,
If people think of real ski, they're like, yeah, the real skifi guys. You guys are like a brand in yourself. So tell me, like, tell me about you guys. Like, how did it start? Because I was rewatching the first episodes and you guys were young. Like, first episode, you look like you were 17, 18.
yeah, that's how young we were, and in a way, that's not even that young, because I mean,
Yeah.
if you look at Matej Swanser right now, what he's doing, he is that young.
Yeah, he's like what, 16 right now?
I think he's 17, uh, but yeah, we were 17, 18, and because Ilkka and Werner, they're twins. They're the other two skiers in real skifi, and they they are pretty small. So like I think it's partly to them that we always looked smaller, and like till to this day, none of us can actually like grow a beard, and I think like our voices were probably still high when we started doing real skiffy. So like there are many things why we probably appear even younger than we actually were. So that's why probably during our first seasons we were just these random little kids from somewhere. Uh, but yeah, how did we start and where we're from? The town is Jyväskylä in Finland, central Finland, and Jyväskylä has a pretty strong history in urban skiing actually, because we got before us there was, and partially at the same time there was Nipwitz.
Hmm. Yeah, Nipwitz was good back in the days, but they were more like conventional skiing.
Well, kind of, but like there's
Well, compared to you, because you guys are like the
yeah,
extreme.
yeah. We probably took it further down that road, but they but they are our biggest inspiration, like most definitely, and before them there was like I don't know if you've seen the movies Solid Powder 1, 2, 3, and because there were like skiers Tuukka Terva-aho and Mart Perendi, and they were like very early Finnish street skiers, and those movies were published like 2002 to 2000, 2004, and like back then people were already shooting street in Jyväskylä, and at that point, like I don't know what was the situation in the worldwide street skiing community, but like it wasn't like it was so early that it was like it's interesting that street skiing was a thing in Jyväskylä before it was a thing in many places in the world.
Hmm.
Uh, but yeah, we have a history in the city, and when we have pretty much the one local ski hill that is close to city center, and like that's where everybody would go ski and see each other. And yeah, the Nipwitz guys are probably one big reason why we ended up doing our thing. I mean, honestly, we copied everything from them, and then just, uh, I mean, sure we did our own twists, and in some of their episodes we have shots as well. They would invite us on shoots with them, which I think is pretty awesome. That like like looking back, I'm amazed that they did that. They would just ask us, like, "Hey, you guys seem like you would enjoy coming to hit a spot with us," and we'd go there. And
Yeah, well, we can touch on that a bit later, but I think that's something that says a lot about what you guys were doing, because you guys were all like, people wanted to associate with you. Kind of, you were so special because you ended up having a segment with Level One, and you've never seen that with anyone else, where they would invite a crew.
yeah,
Like if there was someone standing out, they would invite the person. But when they did it with you, it was really like, we want the real skiffy crew.
exactly. And that's that's also if you think about what you just said earlier, that people don't know us individually. They just know the crew. And I mean, Josh Berman probably couldn't choose who to pick. He was like, well, it's a crew, let's get him. I don't know. But uh, yeah, and I guess I should clarify now that we are a crew of 5 people. Originally there was 4 of us, but we added the fifth one uh, like throughout the first years. But so 3 skiers and then 2 filmers, and the filmers are like a crucial part of the crew. It's like sometimes people talk about like that the skiers are just that we three form the crew, but like I like to think that we five form the crew. And by the way, like if you compare different crews throughout skiing and history, crews probably are usually not that, like, I don't know what's the word, like strict or defined, or like, because we are the same people
Mhm.
throughout the years, and like
Yeah. And now it's time for a first sponsor break.
It's the end of the season, and Planks Clothing has got you covered. Planks' end of season sale has landed with up to 40% off ski wear. They've got great deals going on ski jackets, pants, accessories, streetwear, and more. The sale is going on while stocks last, so go on at planksclothing.com and check it out. Planks Clothing has been supporting dope athletes like Juho and the Real Skifi crew for years now, and I'm stoked to have them as a sponsor. Support companies that support skiing. Support Planks Clothing.
Yeah, because if you think of level one, let's say, level one is not the same level one in 2005 than in 2010 than in 2015.
yeah,
It's
uh,
totally different crews versus you guys. It's the same
yeah,
five guys
we,
since the
we're
beginning.
we're definitely in like in one extreme uh of that. I don't know. I can't find a word, but when anyway, yeah. And there's definitely good things and probably some bad things that come out of it as well. But yeah, so but the five of us. There's me and Ilkka and Werneri, who are twins, and there's Janne is the original filmer guy, and Anton is the one who came along as well.
Okay. And did you guys meet in school or did you guys meet at the snow park, seeing one another and become friends? What was the uh, how did it come about with all of you guys?
Uh, me, Ilkka, and Werneri would meet skiing at the local ski hill, and there were quite a few other like same age skiers that we would ski with and hang with, and it wasn't like there's probably lots of coincidence that it ended up being just three of us. It could have been like other people there too, and like when we would actually shoot the first spots, we had like some friends with us there, but like for some reasons they ended up like maybe not getting shots and not being at the next spot or something, like uh yeah, it's ended up being the crew that it ended up being. But we yeah, Janne is probably the reason or the link that actually made us a crew, because before then we wouldn't really have anyone to shoot with, or and it was probably Oskari Raitanen from Nipwits probably has a big role in the equation, because uh, he realized that Janne would enter the same school that Werneri was already in, and so Oskari talked to them that, hey, you guys should link up and do something, and because he already had seen some footage that Janne had shot, and he was like, that's a good guy, like he's a talented filmer and filmmaker, and that's where it started, kind of. So the first time I met Janne, it was at the ski hill, and we just shook hands, like, Juho, Janne, let's shoot, and yeah, it was a funny moment in history. And and then Anton is he was like just a friend of Janne's who would later come along. And Anton and Janne are both snowboarders, and even Ilkka and Werneri were originally snowboarders, and then they switched to skiing. But yeah, I guess that's like a brief story of how we definitely didn't expect that we still back to this day.
I was looking back at your episodes. It's crazy the amount of attention you got right away. Like there's some people that work their whole ski career, quote unquote, like they put video out for 10 years and they never get a quarter of the views you got. And there's other people like they get maybe the same amount of attention approximately, but they work for it for 5 years making edits and making parts. And you guys, it was like from the first episode on, or like maybe the first year, like maybe it took a bit, like the first 2-3 episodes, but like people were sharing it on Facebook, new schoolers everywhere, like, yo, check out these kids.
Yeah,
What do you think was the spark that made you guys like that made people hooked on you guys?
that's a very good question. And like a lot of it has to do with timing. It was just perfect timing. And that way, like we didn't plan that it would be good timing. It was just luck. But I think nowadays there's 1,000 times more people doing videos than back then. Uh, but if you think the number of viewers definitely hasn't risen that much because there's still 7 billion people on the planet and not everyone has smartphones. But uh, so yeah, like web skiing, like street skiing or skiing, free skiing web series that were published free on the internet were like it was a relatively new thing back then, and I honestly don't know. I mean, personally, I'm still a little amazed that it happened, that we actually got so much attention, and I think it's hugely because of timing and luck, and like back then there was only so many people doing videos, and nowadays there are like 1,000 video makers more for every maker that they were back then. So, but like, I mean, when I look back at our first episodes, I I kind of think that they're not that special. But like, yeah, it's weird. It's definitely a mystery to me still to this day. But for some reason, it just happened.
You guys got better like in the first season and then the second season, and maybe it was in the second or third one that it was really like your top level stuff of real skifi that you watch it again and it still holds up. The first season you could see that it was like teenagers trying to make a web series and just like figuring it out on the go.
Yeah, he's that's you probably nailed it because the first season, because we're making a documentary movie about real skiffy, and
Really? Right now?
yeah, it's in production. It has been for quite a while, and it's probably coming out not too soon. And but like so we've been, you know, thinking some of these old stuff quite a bit recently, and I also, we digged some of the numbers from the first years, and I can tell you that like after the first season, which was 3 episodes, the third one was like the one that actually blew up.
Mm-hmm.
That's the first episode that many people have seen, and after the first season, in total we had like 100,000 views. When we released the first one, it was just a few thousand, uh, which was, I mean, that was too, a lot, considering that we were just doing a video, and
Mm-hmm.
the third one was, I think, one of the major i- things was that Yoon Olsen shared it on his blog, and I don't know how many views we got because of that, but like that's one of the things that why the third episode blew up. Uh, but the next season, when we released like four, five, six, seven, uh, after that season, we already had a total of 1 million views. And so, like, yeah, after the first 2 seasons, we definitely had a lot of views, and
Mm-hmm.
ever since then, we've had more. But I don't think there ever has been a major blew up, a major explosion like that again.
Yeah. I think you guys are like the definition of going viral. Because at that time, when you started, there was really a trend of people doing web series. Like it seemed like everyone was doing it at that time. Like from traveling circus to even pros like Bobby Brown were doing web series with Red Bull and all that stuff. And let's say Bobby was one of the biggest skiers winning X Games and being backed by Red Bull. And it was kind of not organic. It was a bit fake. Not fake, but the results were not organic. It was being pushed by a machine by Red Bull, and there was not that many views. And then you guys are completely unknowns, and it's kind of a explosion, like you said. And I think that there's a big part in there that might have helped, like you said, being shared by you and Olsen or Level One, where it was kind of the Facebook time where everyone was on Facebook. So
Yeah,
if a big page shared it, then it was like spreading all around.
yeah, yeah. The algorithms were definitely working in a different way back then, and in a way that helped us, uh, for sure, for sure.
And now it's time for another sponsor break. The season might be coming to an end, but Access Board Shop still got everything you need. If you need to change up some ski gear, they've got a bunch of stuff on sale, and they're more than ready for the spring and summer season. Go check them out in person at their shop in Saint-Sauveur, Quebec, or check them out at accessboutique.com. Access has been in business for 20 years and are still passionate about everything skiing and snowboarding. Support companies that support skiing. Support Access Board Shop.
Your recipe for the first couple seasons was street episodes during the winter, and always you had a kind of park shoot or spring park edit that you would put at the end. And you're right. I remember that the first episode I ever saw of you was that one, the
Yeah,
spring park edit, where people were sharing it. And again, it's crazy how you guys came up at a time when, in America at least, a lot of people were taking themselves seriously. There was a step and all those guys being like real hardcore, willing to die on a 200-foot jump, doing like the most crazy shit. And you guys, your spring park shoots were like unconventional, wacky. I would almost describe it as jackass. Like I don't know how, you know what I mean? Like just
yeah, yeah,
the
kind of.
with jackass, the goal was to get hurt. You guys, that was not the goal, but just wacky stuff that you would never think of. Like you're
Yeah,
setting up a rail in the spring and you're putting it upside down. It's like, okay.
yeah, yes. Well, exactly, and that's somehow those things just, uh, like they just felt natural. Like throughout the first years, I don't think we somehow planned things too much. We just went there and went for it. We did it, and but yeah, the spring episodes were always popular, and they were they were a special time because I don't know if people have that habit, elsewhere, but usually we had that after the mountain closes, we would still go there for like a couple weeks or even let's say a month or maybe not 2 months, but like a few weeks after it had closed down, we could go there and there's still like the rails are still there and we're free to do anything, and we would definitely go there and we would play around, and it was just it's warm, you got your friends, you can do whatever. It was a good context to play around.
Where I'm from, we wish we could do that, but it was really not that vibe. Like as soon as the park closed, they would like tear up the setup and like make sure no one hits it. Like almost
Oh
kind of
yeah,
a security thing where as soon as they were like, okay, the season is done, they would take the rails like 2 days after and like put them back in a garage, like just so people are not
yeah,
welcome to go hit it. So it's not something we did, but it sure looks like if we had the chance, that's what we would have done.
yeah. Because in fall, people are usually like super excited and anxious to go skiing, and
Hmm.
when the season ends in spring, people are pretty much ready to go to the beach or whatever. They don't care too much anymore, which is in a way it's ridiculous because often the spring days are 100 times better than the fall days. Like in the fall, like people hike on some super sketchy patches of snow, and
Yeah.
it's it's somehow counter. I don't know. It's not counterintuitive, but it's sort of wrong way around.
Hmm.
Uh, but yeah,
And how much time would you guys put into let's say the street skiing and the spring skiing is different, but like let's say for the spring skiing, how much time would you put into those? Because it might be easier since you're always at the same hill, but it takes a lot of time to just one shot might take, I don't know, maybe a day to shoot or to get that shot.
Yeah, well,
Like, what was the vibe? Because you guys, at the beginning, you guys were still in school. So, what was it? Was it like a weekend warrior type where you would spend your weekends at the hill digging up some setups?
well, mm, yeah, it was a lot of weekend stuff, but most days I mean, we could actually go on just weekdays too, because in the springtime, the days like the daylight lasts very long. So, and our school days may have not been that long, and so we could easily go there like more than just on weekends. And most times we probably get more than one shot a day if we went out. So maybe a few a day, and then I mean some of those. Well, let's say that a typical spring episode of Real Skifi probably took 10 days of filming.
Okay.
Probably not too many more and not much less, but let's say that's my estimate.
Yeah.
And the street ones usually more, because it's usually harder to get shots in street spots.
Yeah. Tell me about that. That's something I was curious because being someone who's more conventional streetwise, there's kind of a formula, you know? Like whether you're doing a four kink, a two kink, a down rail, there's still the same thing. You're shoveling the stairs, you're building your in run, you're building your landing, setting up lights if it's at night. You know, there's kind of the steps.
Yeah,
So you kind of rinse and repeat. But you guys have done so much different, wacky stuff that you've never done before that there must be so much time of error and like trial and error. And, because
yeah.
like from a rope swing to a park bench to something else, it's not the same, so you're always kind of learning. It's always a new stuff that you're doing for the first time, kind of.
Yeah, it's there's been a ton of times when we've went to a spot with maybe a plan in our heads and the outcome is completely different. And uh, but also like throughout the years we had I mean we've had a huge variety of experiences. Like sometimes we would go like with an enormous crew with like many friends, like seven friends pulling a bungee at night with like the lights and stuff. We would be there the whole night doing some, you know, trying some hard rails, and other times we would go just two guys. Or last winter I went a lot, some spots I just hit myself, and like there's we've there's so many different ways and modes and moods to hitting street that it's hard to just give you like one answer and that describes the whole process and everything. But during our later days we've definitely gone to planning more stuff, and sometimes we and if we're cooperating with like a big brand who likes to know what we're doing,
Hmm.
we might actually plan very specific stuff.
Yeah.
And sometimes those plans might happen like precise, like exactly what we wanted. But then again, uh, those plans that actually end up working precise, they need their own hours. So like it doesn't mean that it's any easier or quicker, but 'cause the work is just done, on previous days. But then again, there are days when we just go out, and you know the early years we would more just go out there and see what happens, and
Hmm.
then when time is a resource that got lower and lower, and we had to start planning more. Like we can't just if we have one day to shoot, we don't want to spend it on a like on a bad spot where we don't get nothing.
It definitely looks like that because from what I saw, it looks like the first seasons it looked like a group of guys going to a park and saying like, okay, what can we do here?
Yeah,
And in the later ones, it really looked like you had an idea in mind. Like one shot that I have in mind is there's a jump that you do. I think it's you, where you jump between two trees and you guys bolted a wooden bar
yeah,
and you jump onto that bar, hold yourself onto it and do a backflip, like almost as if you're hitting your head.
yeah.
There's the other one where you do a gap, you jump down a fence, and you hit your tips onto the fence to make you do a front flip. And that seems like something like you had been thinking about and you were looking for the right spot.
Definitely, both of those were had been on my mind for a long time, definitely, and like they they were special moments, definitely, and
Yeah.
because I don't even remember like exactly where the ideas came from, but
Well, tell me about specifically that one. You cut your nose onto a fence to make you do a front flip, because as someone who before then had already had one or two knee injuries, like it's really gnarly to do. Like you got to commit full send, but also like, weren't you scared for your knees? And like, tell me about that whole thinking.
I already had a knee surgery before that too, but that was a period where I still felt invincible, so yeah, it didn't really matter. But uh, well, it's a funny spot because when you build a lip so close to a fence and it's so low,
Hmm.
uh, when you actually like when you hit it the first time, there's no other way going down than doing a front flip. And the first couple tries were something like that that I sent the flip myself to. I both hit the fence and sent the flip myself, and then we watched the footage on the camera from like because I felt maybe the third try was already it felt good, and then we were watching the footage, uh, and then we were like, oh, but you can't really see the effect of the fence doing the flip. It looks too much like I'm doing it myself and
Hmm.
just tapping the fence. And then we figured, well, I suppose I should just start jump, straight and be a plank, like a straight upright plank when I hit the fence, and felt extremely scary. But I mean, it must be I mean, it's simply so that I was young back then, and when you're young, you can do crazy stuff. Uh, but yeah, the first hit I did with the straight plank strategy was that was crazy, and the momentum that the fence gave me was surprisingly big and also just perfect. But I mean, it it was a funny trick because in a way I definitely didn't have the control myself, which is something you always want to have. You want to
Yeah.
feel in control, but that time you just had to let it go. And you were like, and it turned out pretty awesome. I did it maybe let's say like 4 times with that straight plank strategy, and landed it pretty much perfect. I mean, the shot is it's fabulous. I mean,
It's one of your craziest shots, I think.
I mean, definitely. If I look back, that's like, uh, it's hard to give you like a top three or something, but that's probably, let's say, that's in the top three, definitely.
Yeah, with you guys, it would be more like a top 20 because there's just too many.
Yeah, but ever since that, talk like, so when's the day that I'm doing a similar spot, going switch,
Switch
and
backflip, kind of.
yeah, and like that has never been like a serious plan actually,
That
but
would be
it
weird.
it was always a joke, and that it would be a little scary, definitely. Yeah, but many times I have thought that should I somehow redo the front flip thing, on a, I don't know what would be, add something special to it, like not do the same thing again, but like
Double front flip.
yeah, just go bigger. Uh,
Yeah.
maybe a spot where you fly, like you start somewhere low, you have a big takeoff, and then you fly a good amount before you hit the fence. And
Mm.
I mean that could, I don't know, it could have a different. I don't know. Yeah, let's see if something comes along or not. But yeah, that was a good spot, a good memory.
The biggest concern in my mind, if I was at that spot, would be to over rotate that front flip, like do a front flip and a half.
Yeah, that would not be good. By the way, I just it just came to my mind that the idea was probably actually copied from uh, what was the name? Jaeger Bailey. Is that a name of a snowboarder that actually has passed away already? But he was like back then he was like one of my favorite snowboarders.
Okay.
And if you see some of his tricks, you probably realize why. But yeah, he did crazy flippy stuff on a snowboard. Yeah, Jaeger Bailey is the name.
You know what that shot reminds me?
Yeah.
It reminds me of Shea Flynn. There was a famous bail
Oh,
video that they posted where
yeah,
he runs into a fence, but by mistake, and does like the
yeah.
gnarliest front flip crash.
That too. I mean, yeah, that too.
And when I saw yours, I was like, that's like the good outcome.
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, there's been other people in other sports having similar fails as Shea Flynn,
Hmm.
and you know, when I've seen those fails in a video or a movie, and then seen like a make after them without a flip, I've been like, why did you even do the actual shot? Like it was better when when you failed it. But I mean, well, of course it's different when you act when it's not on purpose. But yeah, those are probably the reason why the idea was planted in my head and why it happened later on.
Oftentimes, when we think about creativity, there's the phrase thinking outside the box.
Yeah,
In my mind, there's everything in skiing, or past and present. There's everything in skiing, and then outside the box, there's like traveling circus.
yeah,
And then outside that box, there's you guys. Or there's also the bunch. I don't know how, if you're a fan of them or if you like what they do, but they're super creative, and they've helped me kind of see skiing differently when I hit street, like seeing different ways of doing things.
yeah.
But you guys are like in another galaxy. Like, I guess my question is, where would you guys draw your inspirations from? Like, was it totally original? Because let's say when I think of the bunch, I think of a different way to approach a rail, or adding some flavor to it. Whereas you guys, it's just doing a spot with a tennis ball and a tennis racket, and something that is outside of skiing totally.
You asked many questions, and first I'm gonna answer that. Yes, I am a fan of the bunch. I'm a huge fan. Uh, and secondly, you asked about the creativity thing. Uh, there's probably lots of answers and points to that, and because when we started, I think I will once again mention Nipwits that they were creative in their way, and it's something that I think we copied some of that from them, and then we definitely added something from our own, and some of that stuff is definitely very natural to us, I think, and also like I I personally have like videos of me jumping on a trampoline with another friend, like years before real skifi, and when I look at that stuff now, I mean, or someone else looks at that stuff, you can definitely see the same vibe in there too. One thing is that when we started posting videos through real skifi, and people started commenting that like, whoa, you guys are creative, and then that kind of boosted it, like it produced like a cycle that people maybe started expecting us to do creative stuff, and then we wanted to do creative stuff because they expected it and they liked it. I mean, if we never had an audience, we probably wouldn't have taken our skiing or our videos to that level. So that's like one thing too, definitely. Also, I kind of like to think that uh, if someone's creative, it's not necessarily just something that is natural to them. That it A creative man is probably not a man whose brain just pops of full of ideas, because it's because a creative man is probably a man who values creativity himself, and he probably uh, puts effort into being creative, and and putting that effort is, it's not always just that popping brain. It's work of different types, and what I'm trying to say is probably that we've throughout the years we've it sounds weird when you say that we've put work into being creative, because
No, but it makes sense.
yeah, it in a way it makes sense, because I mean you can, if somebody, like even outside of skiing, if someone wants to be creative, it probably requires practice. You
Hmm.
don't just get creative because you wished you were.
And I think it's really cool what you said about the people kind of feeding you positivity and like motivating you to be more creative.
Yeah,
I think that that's definitely something that I've also thought about for Stepped in their own way, where they got hype maybe around 2010, and it seemed like they were feeding off that every year. They were kind of pushing it because like they got so much love from people. And something that I thought was always super cool watching you guys is that you were doing super creative stuff, but it wasn't because you weren't able to do tech tricks, because you had really the balance of both. Like you would do the most wacky stuff on skateboards, jumping in the street in the summer, and then also do like a super tech trick.
thanks for the kind words. Uh, Although I must admit that when we're now in 2021, and we are getting older, and the world of free skiing is getting crazier and crazier. Like we're definitely not the most technical skiers anymore. Like back like back then, we were actually pretty good compared to skiers around the world, probably. But if we ever were, I mean, if we had been the best skiers in the world, we probably would have just gone competing and win all the contests. But we weren't. But we weren't the best. I mean, we were definitely good. I will admit that even myself.
Yeah, when you talk about the newer generations, that's something that um, I thought was cool when I saw, let's say, when the faction guys went to Finland to make one of their street segments,
Yeah,
and you see Alex Hall was doing a lot of spots that you guys did also,
yeah,
but like with the new generation techness, and I was like, holy fuck, because
yeah,
I remembered seeing those spots in your edits and being impressed at that time,
yeah,
but he hit them and he was just like bringing them to another level.
yeah. Exactly, and yeah, that's exactly what I'm talking about. And Alex Hall he's funny because I mean he's definitely like pretty much the best skier out there right now, like in my mind. I'm not saying he's top one, but it's funny because I've many times when I've watched what he's doing, I've almost felt that he's annoyingly good, because because in a way, just the fact that he comes to my hometown and does those tricks on the spots that I know that are super crazy, and he like does something like that I will never be able to do, is like, come on, like you could have
It's
just,
almost like a video game character.
yeah. Then he just goes winning all those medals and does everything. But yeah, it's fun. But I mean, those segments are something that I probably, yeah. I mean, I was very excited to see those segments in the faction movies when they came to Finland. Hit some of it.
I was watching the Do Tour recently, and they have that street style competition where it's like a couple rails in a row, and I kind of felt bad for the other guys because everyone was landing like one trick every once in a while, and A Hall was like one trick after another, after another, after another, and it almost looked like he was playing like SSX or a video game.
Yeah,
He's like too good.
he's ridiculous. And because it's been it's been more than one time that I've seen him do something that I felt like, oh man, that was on my list of things to do. Like, don't steal my head. But I mean, I can't complain. He's definitely he if he steals my idea from my head that he didn't know that it existed in my head, he probably like did it better anyway. So
Do you have some tricks in mind?
in his real ski, he did like a two sev fence bounce side flip misty thing out.
Hmm.
That was like, uh,
That reminded me of your trampoline shots. You did a lot of trampoline features. That reminded me of it.
yeah, well, yeah, because that exact same move was. I mean, I tried that exact same trick on the trampoline that we set uh, for episode 13. Yeah, I don't mean to say that I wanted to do those exact things, but there's like,
No, no, but I feel you. Like when you talk about the 2-on Misty out, that's similar. I see Yuho in there.
but it's definitely weird feeling when you see someone else doing something that you wanted to, like you maybe had an idea that I want to do this special trick, and
Hmm.
then someone goes and does it before you. And because at the same time it's super exciting, you're like, whoa, someone else like thought liked me, and someone else did it, it's actually possible. And then it's also like annoying because they did it before you, and
Yeah.
you may, but like it's, yeah, also like yeah, Jesper Shatter when he did like the took one ski off mid-air and put it back and landed,
Hmm.
like that's like one example. I Many years back I sessioned that trick on a small crappy street jump,
Mm.
and it was close but I never got it. And then later on he would do it on a nice jump, and I mean it was perfect, it was nice, but it was that was one example too that
But yeah, that's really a real skiffy thing because throughout the episodes, there's a lot of shots of you unclipping a ski, landing and clipping the skis. Like every variation, I think you could do a full edit of like unclipping and clipping of skis.
yeah, that's probably true. Yeah, you could, yeah, definitely. But I just want to say that I'm more enjoying and not annoyed by the fact that someone else does tricks that I wanted to do.
We talked about you guys getting a lot of love and feeding off it,
Yeah.
but you guys were also getting. I'm not sure. Like that's kind of far away in my memory, but were you guys getting a lot of hate also? Because an episode intro in the first one where I think it's Ilka,
Yeah.
where he's talking about he was wearing like skinny jeans, purple skinny jeans, and it was at a time when people were really focused on the clothing style, and it seemed as you guys were kind of a bit careless, like I don't care like how I dress, and you guys made fun of that, saying like you were showing off the hate comments, you were saying that you were showing yourself burning down the pants, and then after that saying like a bit kind of a fuck you, kind of saying like we're gonna stay true to ourselves, we don't care about the hate.
Yeah, we've definitely got hate throughout the years. I can't say if it's a lot or if it's just a little, but yeah, there's been multiple comments, and in general, like the reception that we've got, it has definitely changed. Because like 10 years ago, we were these unknown newcomers, kids, and you know, like other people would be like stoked. There was just, oh, who are these guys? They're doing interesting stuff, and people be, and like now we are these old established guys doing like their thing, and people are, because probably some people are even bored. They're like, oh, not again. And then there's it's a different atmosphere these days. Like anyway, regardless of the amount of hate, possibly, but during our history, we've had all kinds of comments, and I mean, to this day, some people comment us that, you know, oh, this stuff should definitely go viral. I suppose it's not your time yet, and and which sounds like a weird comment because like it has been our time for quite a few years already. I feel like, but we've never really, we've never. I don't think we've ever cared too much.
Yeah, I guess that's what I was curious. Like, um, to me, the hate probably was more at the beginning when it's a new thing. People are not used to it, and you guys got the respect pretty quickly that people were used to you and respected what you did. I guess the thing that I was curious is, did it affect what you guys did, or questioning, oh, should we do that?
I mean, it's also, it's probably a bold statement to say that nothing affects us or something like that. But I wouldn't say we were ever worried about the hate. I think at least personally, I think throughout my skiing career, at least I want to think that I'm not too dependent on the reception that I or we get from our videos. Like uh, the comments and the feedback and the numbers are not like the only reason I do what I do. And like,
Yeah, you do it because you're really fucking passionate about it.
yeah, because I enjoy the process, and it definitely matters what people say, but like I don't want to think like that's the only. I mean, nowadays sometimes the release days, for example, they may not even be that special. Yeah, the beauty of the whole thing comes from other things than some people commenting on our videos.
Hmm.
And also, and like, and if we're talking about like the reception and people's opinions and stuff, these days I like to focus more on like quality of maybe comments and not like the quantity. I don't care too much like how many people view our videos, and but like if I get like if I get like one comment saying that there's some guy who was, you know, hugely inspired by what we were doing, I'm like, yeah, nice. I like to hear that.
I can say that I was like, that's something that I wanted to touch on. Is you guys are kind of in a niche in free skiing. Finland is kind of its own thing, it seems.
Yeah.
And but do you guys ever realize, or maybe you get messages from that, but just to put you in context, like, I'm a guy from Quebec who's the same age as you guys. And when I was making movies, as much as I was inspired by Level One and Stepped, we were watching your stuff before going in the streets. Like, you guys have reached a worldwide audience that not many people have.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's definitely crazy, and you know, sometimes it's fun to get messages from people uh, who maybe say that, you know, they started watching our stuff when they were back in, you know, whatever school they were kids, and now that they are grown up adults and they still watch our stuff, and like, you know, they're like, I just wanted to send you a message that all throughout all these years I've been watching you, and you it's been inspiring. So it's fun to get something like that, because like at the same time, we many of our, say, fans or viewers today are probably not the same people as they were 10 years ago,
Hmm.
but there's still also those that are the same.
Yeah, and that's something that's cool with a lot of guys. I was saying that, like, to Phil Casabon, that kids that are 17 right now may have never seen his segments in Level One,
Yeah.
and they could watch it and like rediscover something that's been there forever, but they don't even know it exists. Same thing for you
Yeah.
guys. Like, some people will listen to the episode probably and go watch your stuff and be mind blown.
Yeah, yeah, that's definitely possible.
One thing that I wanted to touch on, in in terms of your success that I got to give you a lot of props on is for a lot of skiers trying to get pro or trying to make a living with it. There's the goal of getting sponsors.
Yeah.
And it's always within skiing. You get a ski sponsor, you get an outerwear sponsor. And if you're a big, big name like Simon Dumont, you'll get something like Target, something more broad. And you guys managed to pull off sponsorships with non-endemic brands like Mountain Dew, like Fisherman's Friend, like Motorola also.
Yeah.
Like you guys got a lot of videos and partnerships with brands outside of skiing without being Simon Dumont. Tell me about that. Like, how did you believe in those opportunities? How did you make it happen?
Yeah. I could probably talk about this for quite some time. But yes, it's true that we definitely have a special history, in getting weird sponsors if you compare to some other ski crews.
Well, it's something that everyone wished they could have, but not many people managed to get it.
Yeah, yeah, and yeah, that's probably true. One thing that has affected the whole thing a lot is the fact that our crew has Janne, because he
Who is
he
your filmer?
exactly, and because he's the kind of guy who would make that happen, and like if we never had him, it's hard to say if any of that stuff would have happened, and it's not like 100% he's the credit, but like he's a major part of it, and he's good with business. Like at first, we definitely had like just these ski brands. We've had Atomic for 10 years already, and we had like 1 year with Orage, and later we got Planks, and we had Shred and Slytech for a while there, and uh, so yeah, we would have those regular sponsors,
And even for those, you seem to do it in a different way. Whereas for everything I've ever known, brands sponsor an individual.
exactly,
Whereas
yeah,
for you, it seemed like they were sponsoring the crew.
exactly, and that is the way. And I mean, we've actually made our contracts for the whole crew, and that's as again we were talking earlier about us being known as a crew and not individuals, and also the people we collaborate as they
Yeah.
probably don't know our names. We're just a crew, but
And it seems as if you went all in into that factor, saying like, "Hey, sponsor the crew because we are a crew."
yeah, exactly, and that's probably one thing that has made us stick, like made us stay as the same crew, because it's not so easy to, add other people maybe if we have this contract for this crew.
Hmm. Yeah, sometimes it's hard when you're trying to do videos with your friends as a crew, and one, you all have different ski sponsors and all have different outerwear sponsors. Then it's hard for sponsors to find value in it because they're like, well, in your video that I pay for, you're also
Yeah,
there's also representation of another brand.
yeah, exactly.
So I guess business wise, it was natural for you guys, but it's like the best way
Yeah,
possible.
yeah. It always kind of made us be like committed as a crew to the whole project and the thing. Uh, but yeah, but at some point we started getting some of those non-endemic sponsors, and it was partly uh, due, like we had this. I'm again struggling to find the right term. So we had this, let's say, agency getting us some collaborations.
Yeah, usually for big brands, they have a marketing agency that does all that stuff. So I would guess that that was the in between to reach out.
Yeah, because we had it was like a YouTube network. So like it was this agency that they had like different YouTubers, and they would get deals for them, and
Mm,
so we were part of it for a few years, and through them we got the first non-endemic sponsorships and collaborations. And yeah, I don't even remember the details, like how we ended up with them. And but yeah, the first non-endemic sponsor we ever had was a juice company, Juissi, and it's episode 14. And we received, I think, 640 cans of juice, and it was a lot of carrying around with them. And it was, I mean, yeah, it was the first one, and we did it like we did it big time from the
I
start.
still remember watching that episode for the first time, and I hadn't realized there was a sponsorship involved.
Oh yeah.
And so I just saw it. I think it was Ilka doing a gap and landing on juice bottles, and I was like, "Why? Why are you doing that?" And then it's at the end of the video. I was like, "Oh shit! Okay, there's a sponsorship involved. Okay."
Yeah, yeah, it opened our eyes to what's possible. And I can definitely tell you that those non-endemic sponsors, they have more money to spend than ski brands. And forever, I mean, ever since, they have been our main source of income. I mean,
Mm.
we've always had planks in Atomic, but like the other brands are actually who really pay for our stuff.
I don't know how in details you want to get, but it seems to me as if Atomic would like Atomic or Planks, they would support you guys financially to get it done, while the non-endemic will allow you to actually make some money.
Well, yeah, you can say that. Yeah, you can say that definitely. I mean, throughout the years, we've definitely done some work with our email, and like, but most collaborations we've done, I mean, almost every single one has been so that the other party has contacted us. Uh, so like, we don't really do much active, what's the word, selling. Maybe we don't send too much emails out there just to say, hey, sponsor us, hey, do this. It's kind of amazing and it, that surprising that we've had so many different possibilities and collaborations. And also many of them have also been, uh, I mean, Fisherman's Friend is something that we've already done like 6 years together with them. And Valio Academy is also, we're starting our 5th season with them next year, and they are like our biggest sponsor. But then there's also quite a few of those that have been just one time, uh, yeah, one hit wonders, or whatever you would call them.
Which one was the most fun to do? Because you had Motorola where you were using a cell phone. You've had Mountain Dew where you were jibbing bottles. I think on my end, as a viewer, Mountain Dew was my favorite. Like
Yeah,
using the bottles into jib features, and you also had kind of perspective shots where it looked like you were jibbing the bottle, but it was just like the perspective while filming, I think.
yeah, it was. The Mountain Dew. There's been 2 episodes with Mountain Dew, and both of them have. I think they have some pretty awesome ideas behind the product placement, definitely, and I like them too. Probably, maybe the most fun collaboration has been the one with the tractor company. I would say, because it was just out of this world ridiculous, filming a video with actually tractors running around and building the jumps. And it was, yeah, it was on another level. Like, it's not something that you would or you could do like weekend after weekend, and our season after season. So but like, but just as a one time thing that we got to do, it was epic.
Was that brand kind of a big brand in Finland? Is it kind of a John Deere of Finland?
Yeah, it is definitely a big brand. It's like everybody in Finland knows it.
That's
Yeah,
crazy. Yeah, I remember seeing that episode, and there's in-run shots where you see the tractor kind of drifting in the snow and towing you. It's so on brand with what you guys do.
yeah, it was ridiculous. And during those shoots, there were a couple of those moments where I was maybe standing on top of an Indran, and I was just, I just stopped and thought to myself that this is crazy, right? Yeah, I'm actually just standing right here, and there's like a tractor coming like towards me, and I'm about to jump over it, and like, like this is so random that this is happening, and it's happening to me.
How did it work? Let's say for the tractor episode, planning it, do they give you 100% freedom? Say like, hey, think of what you want to do, and we'll get you a driver to drive the tractor, or was it a collaborative thing?
We pretty much had free hands. It, during that whole collaboration, it was a major props should be given to Sam Hardy. He was like the guy from Valtra who made it all happen. He knew us. He was a skier. He asked
Mm.
us, "Let's do this thing," and he was the one doing all the driving in the important bits. And but yeah, he and they gave us. It was funny because he like convinced his boss to give us the budget to do it, and then uh, he said to his boss like, "Don't worry about anything regarding this project. I will show you the finished project when it's done." And then we planned it like pretty much ourselves, but also with him a little bit, and we had like the atmosphere that we have unlimited resources, and like we can do whatever we want, but also like not everybody at the company probably would be stoked on what we're doing, and like we might not be asking permissions for some or for everything, but when we just show the finished project, like things will be good. And so yeah, it was great. And for that project, that's like the number one project where we did most planning before. We actually had drawn pretty much every single trick in that video beforehand.
And whereas maybe Mountain Dew, they would give you freedom and just like say, do your thing.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, most times there's some. Well, most times we just get free hands, and then before we release the video, we show it to them, and we're like, "Is this good?" And they're like, "Yeah, it's good." And
Well, that must be stressful, because what if they don't like it? It's too late. It's already done.
yeah, we've never really had that, so it it would be bad, definitely.
Because that's something that always makes me anxious as a filmer when I show, let's say, the athlete the edit, and I'm like, is it
Yeah.
good? Because you better say it's good, because I don't want to restart.
Exactly. Yeah. You kind of, as a brand, by 2021, or already, let's say, by 2017, we were an established brand, and if you were to sign us, you knew what you were gonna get, in a way. Like in a way, you can count on what we do, because we've done it enough already that we kind of know our thing. So I guess that's like how they might see it uh, as a business collaborator. They buy certainty in a level.
Yeah. And I think something that's really cool about, I was saying like you guys have had a level of success that few big names ever have in terms of reach and, views and all that stuff. Also, in terms of the non-endemic sponsors, like if I try to think of videos of that kind, the only other one that I have in mind is Candide. With his Audi videos.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know the numbers, but I have the assumption that his numbers are way bigger.
Yeah.
But yeah, I guess you have some truth in those words.
Well, yeah. Let's say aside from numbers, just collaborating with brands. Yeah,
Yeah,
Candide
yeah.
is
Well,
like
yeah.
Candide is like on a god level where it seems like those videos for Audi where he's like skiing on everything but snow.
Yeah,
those get like tens of millions of views. It's kind of
yeah, yeah. He is. He is. It would be fun to meet him, but I guess no one does.
yeah, he's like a legend. It seems he doesn't exist. We see
Yeah,
him do a video once a year and that's it. He disappears
yeah,
after that.
yeah. He's like the actual true legend. That's true.
Yeah, if you were, that's a random question, but what's your goat ranking in your mind? Like, would you have Candide as the goat?
Mm, mm, probably yes. I would. I think yes. I would. Yeah, I'll put him in the first spot. I don't know if I want to go any further down that list.
Yeah,
It's hard decisions.
yeah. Whenever I think of it, I have to go into a top five because there's no way I can like, and the top five has no order. It's like
Yeah,
all on the same level because there's too many. Like, I'm a big sports fan, and every time, let's say in football or stuff like that, they always talk about the championships or the results. And I think Tanner might be the one if you look at it that way because he has like medals in big air, slopestyle, half pipe, real ski, real snow, free ride world tour, and like if you look at like doing everything, he's like,
yeah. And he's when I started skiing, uh, he was he was like the number one name I typed onto Google or YouTube or whatever it was.
and still to this day, he was hitting street last year for X Game.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. It is ridiculous, and that's because sometimes I feel old, uh, and yeah, next year I'm gonna be 30, and then there are those days when I remember that okay, Tanner Hall can do Thovex, I, even Sean White, or going for the Olympics again. I like yeah, those days I remember that yeah, maybe I'm not too old yet.
Yeah, I guess that's a good transition to go into that because you're 29, going on 30, as you said, and you're still doing this, you're still pushing yourself, you're still creating content. And when we were younger, it seemed like 30 was old. Like 30, you're not going to be free skiing anymore. And we have kind of a generational shift right now where Tom Wallish is still doing stuff and he's maybe 35 almost. Tanner is still doing stuff, he's 37. Phil Casabon is still doing stuff, he's 32, maybe 33. So
Yeah.
it seems like a lot of our generation, or maybe people a bit older, have like shifted the way we look at skiing where we can keep doing it for a longer time.
Yeah, because the sport is still so young that I mean, if you compare it to skateboarding, you already have those 50-year-olds or
Hmm.
whatnot, even 60-year-olds. But we haven't had time to produce old skiers. But
Yeah.
it's happening slowly but steadily. I really I mean I don't have the mindset that I'm gonna be doing this like this at this level, when I'm old or anything. But also, I don't see reasons to stop quite yet. So
Hmm.
I'll just go day by day.
So you're taking it like one season at a time?
Yeah, pretty much. Pretty much. That's how you would say. I have noticed, like in my thinking, that I do have like a different mentality towards injuries. Like because I've had problems with my knee throughout the years, and if I were to blow up the same knee again, I really don't. I'm not sure if I will come back from that. For
Hmm.
example, yeah. Somehow I've grown up enough that I feel like my body is worth other things too.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
worth preserving.
yeah, definitely.
Yeah, that's something to say. Like, I know a lot of skiers, and it's a big trend almost for pro skiers where they do park competitions like slopestyle, big air. They hit street, and once they blow their knee two, three, four times, they're like, okay, I'm done doing that. I'm gonna go into the backcountry, do like powder. And on your end, I like I rewatched your video about your ACL story,
Yeah,
and it's a really kind of emotional video. It's moving, and it's sad because we see how much you love skiing and how much of a struggle it was to get back. You guys are special because for a lot of people doing those crazy stuff that you do once you have a couple knee surgeries, you'd be like, no, I'm not doing that anymore. And for you, it must be so hard to keep doing those funky stuff, knowing that it's kind of risky for those injuries, particularly.
Yeah, well, kind of, but also because these days I know my body pretty well. I like my limits. I think it's pretty natural, and probably everybody says that they know their limits and they know what they can do and what not. Uh, but yeah, I feel it's true that I've learned to know my limits pretty well, and I definitely choose what tricks and spots I hit and try. Uh, and I definitely, you know, wish I were, in that sense, I wish I was young again because it was so fun when you could just throw anything anywhere and you didn't have to care. But for example, I've done quite a few, you know, screaming seaman landings, or what you would call them, in my years, and that's a trick that many people comment on in a way that, whoa, how what your knees think about that, or like that's risky for your knees. But personally, I never felt like that's a trick that's sketchy for knees. Like I don't see that trick wrecking my knees. Even though when I ski my with my knee brace on, I can't really do it because the metal in my knee brace hits the shin of my other leg, and that's the reason I haven't really done any of those in many years. But I'm then again, I'm slowly starting to ski without a brace just now, and I might bring them back. But I skip most of the actually scary stuff for my knee.
Mm.
I do stuff that I feel like I can pull off, that I can ride out safely.
Because when I was looking back at that video, your three main knee injuries are all kind of in a similar type of stuff where you land a big vertical drop.
Mm.
It seems like you're falling from a high place. One was your first one was a rodeo 7 kind of jump where you land like you kind of overshoot the jump and land sideways. Your second one is at Bear Mountain, like jumping off a quarter pipe.
Yeah,
And your third one was also like street jibbing where you do a drop and
yeah,
and they're all like
yeah. They're sort of high drops, but then again, they're not that high. Like if you measure them,
yeah.
and it's kind of depressing to see that I blew my knee in such a small jump or whatever. Like some of them are actually bigger too, but like, yeah, I mean, if I were to take notes, like not do this again,
Mm-hmm.
it would like strict me quite a lot because I couldn't really go higher than 3 meters maybe, and that's because then again, I I like to go big. I like to ski fast. Like if I never had any issues with my knees, I probably would be a whole different skier, and probably wacky and weird still. But I would have gone. Yeah, I don't know where I would be. It's probably this story is probably better, but yeah, here we are now.
Even with your knees, like you did some shots where you tape some bottles on your shins and do some shin slides, and those are some of the coolest shots where you do a shin slide to front flip, but then on my end, I'm like, oh man, his knees.
Yeah, that I have a story about that one. Because that one was like the biggest risk I've taken. When you consider my knee, like nothing happened, and but like it was an conscious decision. How do you pronounce conscious decision that because that spot I couldn't ski with the knee brace
Mm.
because your my knees they bend extremely, and with the brace I couldn't do it, and so I had to do it without it. And then again, I knew that the drop was it was a high drop, but not high enough for the front flip to easily spin around. So I knew I would be landing back seat a lot. without a knee brace, and that's not good for your ACL. And it was a weird moment on the parking lot when I was going through it in my head, like, do I want to do this?
Mm-hmm.
Like actually, do I want to commit to this? And
So the thinking is not even about is it possible? Am I going to land it? It's more, am I willing to take the risk?
I mean, of course, I wasn't. We practiced that trick like 20 meters next to the spot. There's like the same railing, but with a tiny drop.
Mm,
And we would shovel snow there, and I would do the same exact thing and do the front flip on my back.
mm,
So like that part didn't really have any risk. And after that, well, I don't know if it was after that, but so like somewhere between was like the whole thinking process that do I actually want to take the risk is when I realized that I couldn't do it with the brace on. And I even taped like I the when you go tenting and you have those mattresses where you sleep on,
mm-hmm.
those little foam. I had that type of mattress, and I cut it into many pieces, and I taped those pieces on my like the back of my leg, like hamstring, and right there, like a lot of that stuff there. So when I do the shin slide, my knee wouldn't bend too much because the motion in my knee is still limited from all the surgeries and stuff. So like there was quite a bit of stuff going behind the shot actually, and all that happened, and yeah, it took me a lot of tries, like not insane amount, but it took me like 20 or 30 times to try to shin slide front flip. And if you think about the trick, it's also fun because every time you do the shin slide, you definitely fall down, you definitely do a flip of some sort. And so even the first time hitting the actual big spot with the drop was also scary because it was like, okay, now I'm going and I'm going in definitely.
A bit like the fence front flip where
Yeah,
there is no first try. The first try is a real try.
exactly. And also an interesting note to that trick is that because it was done with Mountain Dew, and it was the spring, wasn't it? It was probably the spring of 2020 when I'm just thinking, was it 2020 or some other year? Because it was spring, and we kind of had closed the deal with Mountain Dew. We had agreed, like there was like maybe a verbal agreement, and we were like, okay, it's 90% sure that the deal is happening.
Mm-hmm.
And but also it was maybe March or April, and the season was ending, and so we shot that trick without actually knowing that the deal would happen. And we went to the store and we bought those Mountain Dew bottles ourselves, just a couple bottles to get me those shin guards. And you know and that was also a weird part of considering the whole trick, that do I want to do this battle, because it was also like there's a chance that it's not, that the shot is kind of ruined if we don't end up having the deal,
Mm-hmm.
uh, and as it happened, it was probably, I don't know if I'm mixing years, but COVID happened, or then it was some other thing on another year that the deal actually canceled.
Mm.
Uh, and then we were left with the shot, with the Mountain Dew bottles. And I was like, oh, yeah, sure, that was nice. But later on, we would actually do the deal like months later, and it ended up all good. We shot like all the other stuff for the episode, and but yeah, it was definitely a very special, you know, session in many ways. The knee slide front flip, because we shot it without knowing that it's actually uh, gonna be worth it or like usable in any way.
Talking about not knowing if it was going to work out, you guys have a couple episodes where it starts off with a crash montage where we see back to back to back to back crashes and rough ones. How do you guys assess? Two questions, kind of. How do you
Yeah.
guys assess if something is doable or not? Since a lot of times it's features you've never done before, since they're so original, and also when do you guys pull the plug, or like how often did it happen that you guys try something that didn't work out? Because we see a lot of crazy stuff, but there must be a lot of ones that didn't work out, I'm guessing, because it's always so not risky, but I don't know, trying a 270 on or a 450 on is something you know can work, but sometimes how do you know if it's going to end up working?
Well, there is no way of knowing if it's going to work or not. You know, Ilkka is a funny skier in a way that I mean, he's the one who most often comes up with an idea that even the other members in the crew don't believe in. Like he's the only one, and then he goes on trying it, and he actually makes it happen.
And even you guys say like, no, I don't think it's going to work.
Yeah, and I'm not sure if we say it out loud or if it like afterwards when it's happened, we the others are like yeah, we didn't believe in you, but glad that you did it. And because yeah, he's done some weird. I think he's the one who's had most of those moments that he's actually the only one believing it. But yeah, we've had quite a few tricks and shoots and spots that hasn't worked out, and the art of pulling the plug is definitely. I mean, it is an art, and you have to master it, and it's not easy. And it's something that in my later days I've tried to, you know, practice and get good at, because it's it's extremely valuable to know when to stop. Because like it's dangerous to continue something when you're tired and it's not working out, and also it's time consuming, and it's just overall not really positive for the atmosphere or the environment or other people if you're just, you know, banging your head time after time.
And especially if you get a lot of bails, sometimes you just get sore. You want to know if you're going to get the shot, but also like the goal is to get the shot, but you don't want to end up badly and get hurt, because there's that factor. The
Yeah,
more you try something sketchy, the more there's not only that you might not get the shot, there's also the injury risk.
exactly. Yeah. And even when you don't get the shot, I try to think, you know, positive. I try to focus on the fact that maybe we still learned something today. We learned if it's possible or not. Even the case that, you know, if you have an idea that you want to try and you see that it definitely doesn't work, you're like, well, now I know that it doesn't work. Good. Let's continue doing other stuff. Like that's good. And if you realize that it works, and but you don't get it, you can be like, yeah, let's come later. This was a lesson needed to
Mm-hmm.
complete the task later. And but yeah, you know, last season I spent 8 days, like not full days, 8 sessions, let's say short sessions, trying a long urban rail. It was like
Is it the wooden rail?
no, it was a rail that I never made it to the end of it. So it's like we haven't published any of the footage. It's a metal rail. Yeah, I mean, it's the same rail that we've slid it a few times, like holding hands. Ilka has slid it with holding
You
holding
did
my
it.
hand.
You did it two
Yeah,
times. One time
exactly.
in the winter and one time in the summer with a skateboard.
Yeah, and that's the same rail that, you know, for many years it has been in my mind that it would be fun to try it, to actually slide it. Uh, and yeah, it's
Without holding hands.
yeah, without holding hands. And last season, I went. First time I went there, it was with uh, two friends that are like other friends than real skifi members, and we just went there as a joke, pretty much. Like, let's we had hit another spot earlier, and we were like, well, a little bit of daylight left. Let's just go there, and like this is the day when we sesh that spot. And so we started out, and that when the spark lit in my head that maybe it's possible. And the results of the first day definitely weren't good because we weren't getting good speed or anything. And
Were you winching in?
no, it was you could ski into it, but it was a sketchy in run. And later on, I would build it better, so then I would get more speed. Uh, but like still definitely not too much. But yeah, I ended up spending 8 days there last season and not getting it. And on the eighth day, I was like, okay, after today, I'm quitting. Like I'm not doing it anymore. And that's an extreme example of
Not knowing when to pull the plug?
exactly. And because like on many of the first days, I kept going further and further. And I kind of there came a point when I was like, okay, it's possible, and I'm actually going to do it. It's just a matter of days and tries. And but then a few days later, I was like, oh, it's still taking too many days, too many tries that I should probably just stop.
I've heard of going 2 times. I've heard of going 3 times. Going 8, I've never heard that.
Yeah, yeah. Most of those times I was there alone, and that's probably one of the reasons that I actually went there because I felt like I wasn't wasting anyone else's time. So it was kind of a good thing because I would just go there and do my thing. And
And how do you film a big spot like that? How do you film it if you're alone? How do you get a good shot?
well, I don't get a good shot. I just get a shot. Honestly, most times I just had a good one camera on a tripod, just cold like that, and the perspective for a rail that long wasn't even that good. But like, but yeah, I just did it, and it was the motivation was mostly because I wanted to find out if it was possible, and that's probably a big theme in every single real skiffy trick ever, because we're curious to find out if it's possible. If you pursue things in skiing that just go bigger and further and more and that stuff, just like that rail is, it gets so hard at some point, and I and we have probably always have. I mean, in a way, some people say that I'm extremely patient, but at the same time, I also feel like I'm not that patient at all.
Well, if you went 8 times, I got to tell you, you're patient.
Well, definitely, but that's my personal record. But yeah, but also I feel like when I realize that it's hard to go this direction, I like to turn sideways, and like that's the thing that we've done so many times in our history. That when other people still try to go forward, further and further, we just turn sideways, go somewhere else, and like try something completely different.
And when you talk about seeing if it's possible, I did an episode with Cam Riley, and he was telling me about that. I don't know if you remember, but he was kind of pushing the sport in his own way, kind of going bigger and bigger and bigger.
Yeah,
And kind of the ultimate thing he did was in 2015, where he did a parking lot rail,
I know that one.
flat rail to drop, and it's, I don't know, it's like 4 stories high, 5 stories.
It's
And
higher than anyone will ever go.
yeah, exactly. And he was telling me, and it was kind of in the same vein of like, I just wanted to see if it was possible.
Yeah,
And it's a bit like your fence front flip where you can't half try it. If you jump down, you're trying to land it and you don't know if you're going to explode or not. You just kind of need to commit 100%. It's a special thing.
yeah, yeah. Sometimes committing is the key, and you just cannot not commit. And by the way, that movie for lack of better, is it's definitely one of my favorite ski movies ever, it and Cam Riley is just another beast in it. But because and it's fun because like there are some ways when I look at the movie, I don't really feel like that's the kind of skiing that I want to do, or I don't necessarily feel like oh, that they're my favorite skiers, or but it's just a movie that is so well made, and it's and they're just and what they do it in such a they do it at such a level that I'm just I'm so greatly interested and inspired by it in like many ways. I've watched the movie many times.
Hmm.
It's probably you know I don't know if there's many movies that I've watched more than that one.
They give a look and a reflection into street skiing that has never been done, not even close. Like the interviews they get and the question they ask and the reflection they go into in terms of injuries and is it worth it or not? And there's a lot of stuff that has never been done before. It's really a special movie.
Yeah, I really love it. It's also since we're doing the real skifi documentary ourselves right now. Uh, it has made me rethink like every single documentary out there, and like that's like one of the we're definitely not doing anything similar to that, I think, but like it's an interesting comparing point anyway, and it's amazing. It's an amazing movie. I really like it.
Yeah, that's also a good transition because it's something I wanted to ask you. Um, you guys seem to be dedicated on a level similar to what Stepped was doing. You know how Steppe was a tight crew of friends doing their special stuff? And to me, it seemed like Steppe, the way they were going, they got burnt out. It was like too much injury, too much struggle. And at some point, they all just stopped. Like from one season to another, they went from movies to being done, basically. They kept going. Like some of the skiers, like Sean and Clayton, did some movie with TGR, but they Stepped as a whole stopped. And I was wondering, like, how do you guys manage to not be burnt out? Because you started filming your videos around 2010, around
Yeah,
then, and in 2022 you're still going. So is it the fact that what you do is maybe more I don't want to, how can you say that, maybe more lighthearted? Like, because when you're trying something, it's funky, but you're not like wondering if you're gonna die.
yeah,
It's less dangerous, maybe.
yeah. Well, you can definitely say small.
Yeah.
I mean, not. I mean, there are times when we've gone bigger, but yeah, we often go small, and you know, in a way, like if you think about it, like in a bigger perspective, I kind of want to uh, represent skiing in like a, how would you say, in like a sane way. Like skiing can be uh, s- somewhat safe. It can be somewhat like I don't know. I I like I kind of like to try to pursue skiing like in uh excuse me, it's so hard to put this.
No, I think I see what you mean in a way that is. I know exactly what you mean because the way Stepped was doing it, you couldn't do it forever. At some point, it's like you're
Yeah,
gonna die. Whereas for you, it's kind of pushing skiing in a way where you can continue in that direction forever.
yeah, yeah. Well, yeah. I think that's pretty well said. Because when I think that maybe someone is considering me as an idol or someone that they look up to, I kind of like to represent a hobby or a sport uh, that is actually good for them
Hmm.
in a way. Even like uh, when you have kids, you kind of start looking at your own life like everything you do in your life, you kind of think like, because in everything you do, you set an example for your kids, and
Hmm.
you want the best for your kids. Like even in my skiing, maybe I started to look at my skiing like, is this a good example, and what type of an example do I want to give, you know, for having a hobby, let's say, because
Hmm.
yeah, because I don't want to inspire kids to be like reckless, and I don't want to inspire kids to blow their knees, and I don't want to inspire kids to, maybe uh, just vandalize street obstacles. And I mean, I'd like to, I'd like to inspire them to do some like reasonable and good things, and they can still be like extreme sport athletes or whatever, and they can still do it on like the highest level, but maybe question some of the more questionable things. And
I like what you say because that's really something that I saw looking back at your videos, which is a positive outlook on skiing, on street skiing, where a lot of what we see in street skiing is like kind of bum lifestyle,
yeah,
where you drink and you smoke and you break things and you break your skis and you're angry. And there's one episode, I don't remember which one, but it's something I thought was really nice to see is you hit a rail, you break it, a street rail, you break it, and
yeah,
then there's a bit in the episode where you talk, oh, we felt bad, so we went back to the hardware store and we built it again. And that's something I never saw before in street. Like myself, I've broken handrails before, and I just let them there. Like I just go away. And
yeah.
you guys really were like, no, no, we're gonna build it back up again. It was kind of such a positive thing that we rarely see.
That's probably one of the things that makes us a little different. And I don't mean to say, I mean, there are times when we have left a spot so that it's not as good as when we entered it. Uh, but but we definitely mostly behave nice and treat everything nice when we're out there. And but yeah, it's also like conscious decisions, like what you want to show and inspire. Like yeah, if one day we break a rail and leave it, and another day we break a rail and fix it, then which one or both or none of them do we show? Like and yeah, it's there's different perspective. There's yeah, because you could say that it's like if you just choose which stories and which sides you show others, like of yourself, you often end up like creating a false picture. And I like I and we probably don't like we don't want to paint a picture of some saints or street skiing saints doing some stuff. And I mean, we want to we want to we in a way we want to show what we actually do.
It looks genuine, like it doesn't look fake. It really looks like it's you guys. It's how you actually are. It doesn't look fake. And I think that's a big thing where let's say for the general audience, the best thing is to speak in English and try to go the American route to get attention skiing wise. And that's something I always thought was cool of you guys, where let's say for us as Quebec skiers, we try to speak English just so that people will understand. Because if we speak
Yeah.
French, then no one understands us. Even people from France don't understand Quebec French. Um, but that was something cool of you guys, where you were putting out videos that was seen everywhere, but you were still speaking Finnish. Like you
Yeah,
weren't trying to speak English. Was that a conscious decision?
there was a time when we tried to do some English speaking stuff, and it just didn't feel that natural. Like
Mm,
you never get like the true authentic reactions, maybe, or something like that. It was just
yeah.
it was so much easier to do it in Finnish. And because we never traveled that much. Like most, let's say, professional skiers, they travel all the time, and that's probably how they inherit the whole English speaking culture and everything. But because for for the most part, we've just stayed home. Like, or we've stayed where we are, and in a way, we are somewhat even isolated group of people, and so so that way it has been easy to just do our own thing. Because yeah, because it's funny. I mean, we've had uh, trips abroad, many trips even, but when you think about like how many years we've been doing this, we're probably some of the least traveling skiers out there. And like,
Yeah, when you compare to, let's say, the next one up there with you in terms of popularity, which is Traveling Circus has been around the globe like 20 times.
yeah,
And you guys have made videos in France, in the UK, in the States, but I'd say 95% of what you've done is in Finland.
yeah. And the last time we were abroad is probably, I don't know how many years ago, but it's quite a few. We as a crew, when we do our stuff, we don't we don't need, in a way, we don't need much budget when we do our stuff, because
Hmm.
we just go shoot street, and mostly stay at home, like, uh, and so like we're a weird crew in a way that we don't travel that much, and we don't spend that much money, and we just do our simple little thing close by.
I think it's a great um, quality of yours because what you do is not simple. And I feel you, like I'm the same way. Like 90% of the street I've ever done is in the same city.
Yeah,
Like I like to stay home in Montreal, and like there's enough things to let my creativity run wild. Like I don't need to go elsewhere. But that's a challenge in itself to keep getting more creative while also staying in the same area.
yeah. It would definitely be nice to go somewhere else sometime. To We're probably doing something in other cities this season, in Finland, but let's see what happens.
I did an episode with Payban last season, and he was telling me that Russia was his favorite place. Is that somewhere where do you see yourself going? Because Russia seems like a weird place to go.
Definitely. Uh, well, to be honest, at this point, being a dad, I see myself staying home a lot. Like,
Yeah, it's not really an option
yeah,
to go out.
yeah, my relationship to traveling has changed a lot, and like, oftentimes my first initial thought is that, is it worth it to go that far away? Like, can I just do? Maybe we do it here, and
Yeah. Well, also as a husband, like, can I do I have the right to leave the girlfriend alone with the kids and go ski?
yeah, that's, yeah, definitely, and because yeah, when you have a family, time becomes a resource that is more valuable than ever before, and you really want to spend it wise, and yeah, and that's one of the main issues why I don't like to travel too much. But so yeah, let's say Finland is still good. I'll probably go around Finland a bit, but also I must say that I also don't feel like, climate change wise, I don't feel like I want to be flying around the globe anymore, really.
You talked to me a bit before we did the episode about your current situation. I'd like to get into that before we end because I think what you are doing right now is something really cool that we rarely see in skiing. Whereas a lot of people, when they grow into their late 20s, when they finish university or something like that, when they want to start a family, they move on from skiing. Tell me about, the school you did and your situation right now, because I think it's really cool where you got two kids going on three and you're still pushing skiing.
Yeah, it, when I was younger, or even an adult already, I didn't even really dream of being a pro skier because the idea of being one had to do a lot with traveling and being away, and I kind of just felt that I want like a normal life, and I didn't think it would be possible if I was a pro skier. But in 2019, I graduated from university. I could now be like a physical education and math and health education teacher uh, for kids. But when I graduated, I felt like it was a turning point because I wouldn't have enough time for being a teacher and skiing and family because we already had two kids back then, and yeah, I just felt that I will have to skip one of those three because it's a combination that won't work, and that's a point where I decided I'd like to try if real skifi could be like my career, and it it was like a situation where we were financially in a point where it was easy to try it, like it wasn't sure if it's going to work, and yeah, it's been 2.5 years already, and it looks good. It's been good, and it's looking good for the future. And yeah, the one funny moment was when we were hanging with the crew, and I kind of said to the boys that I have an announcement to make, and I told them that I wanna I wanna actually start pursuing real skifi as my career, and they were pretty amazed because and Werner told me that he was like 100% sure that I was going to tell them that I'm quitting, but I did the opposite, and yeah, it's because uh, me and my wife's situation is so that we both are like part-time stay-at-home parents, and she is a student still, and then so I'm not doing real skifi full time right now. Like so, I only have like 50% uh, time to do it, but like that's the only job pretty much I've been doing for the last 2.5 years, year around. So it's pretty amazing that like I couldn't have imagined earlier that I can actually be a dad and a skier, just living home, filming street,
Yeah,
and that's something that could work. And
and it's crazy because it's a different model than what we're used to seeing. Like the pro skiers that are more old, let's say we think of Tom Wallish. Well, he's still living the traveling life,
yeah,
going to one country to another, making video projects, while you're kind of a unique thing in your own of being a dad, staying in Finland and doing your own thing.
yeah, and the rest of the crew is they pretty much have like all serious, real, real life day jobs, and so like the times when we get together as a crew and shoot, those are practically weekends, and then
Mm-hmm.
I might do some other weird stuff, on weekdays with maybe other people or myself, or just edit the stuff and do because honestly, there's a lot of computer work, and
Yeah,
I like. I mean, you could say I'm a pro skier, but then again, I ski very little to be a pro skier. Like,
yeah.
uh, but yeah, that's it. In a way, that's what I am.
It's a lot of producing, directing, editing. There's 90% is behind the camera mostly.
Yeah, exactly.
Thanks for doing an episode, Juho.
Thank you. It was a pleasure. Yeah.
A lot of stuff that you guys have done that are timeless. And we could have done 4 episodes, but yeah, you guys have done so much great things in skiing, and I think you're the most unique crew I've ever seen, doing stuff your way, different than anyone, on your own, in your own country. You're kind of You guys are legends. Are you guys like big in Finland? Like, do you if you go to snow parks, are kids like all around you?
Uh, we're not big. We're like every now and then it surprises me or us that someone knows. I mean, of course we do get something like that, but like not much. Definitely, we've never had it enough for it to be irritating. Let's say that.
Yeah.
And yeah, it depends where you are. If I uh like my van where's the real skifi logo. If I like I don't do it often, but if I drive that van to like a random skate park in Finland in summer, I think uh, kids' heads turn. They are like, "Whoa, look who's here!" Uh,
Yeah.
but like, but most situations in life, people don't recognize us. But yeah, in ski hills, definitely. But even then, like, not many people come ask for anything. And it's fun that, because every now and then there comes like a extremely random situation that that has nothing to do with skiing, that people know me or recognize me, or like
Hmm.
and those are fun. It probably has something to do with the fact that many of our videos are watched by non-skiers. And
Mm.
but yeah.
And what do you mean stuff that doesn't have to do with skiing? Like they just come across you in the street?
Yeah, or like some not maybe on the street, but if I go buy something secondhand from, like, an app where I look for a product and I see someone is
Hmm.
selling it, I go to their place and he's like, "Wait a minute, are you the guy who's like, and stuff like that, mate."
That's cool. Well, thanks for doing the episode.
You're
It
welcome.
was really nice.
Yeah.
So this is it for episode 28 with Juho Kilkki. If you enjoyed this episode and want to rewatch or watch for the first time their episodes, they're all available on their YouTube channel, Real Skifi. Big thanks to this episode sponsors again, Planks Clothing and Access Board Shop. Cheers.